off.
Yeah.
Turn your phone screen off.
What do you mean, Assmaster 3000? What is that? Dude, I don't know how you get yourself into these. Wait, Ty? If that's you, then who is this? Oh, Taylor. Oh, okay. Yeah, listen, pal. That's a shame. Yeah, put some ice on that, buddy. All right. I'll talk to you soon. See ya.
Yeah.
Tyler, glad to see you, pal. I haven't talked to you in a while. How are things?
Doing well. I've been busy doing some work. I found out I went to a proctology university. That was an interesting experience that I never got to do. But yeah, I've been busy. But I'm here.
Tyler, that's the biggest thing that me and you discussed when we started the show. We don't want to spread rumors, and that's how rumors get started. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Essential Wrestling Podcast. It is Saturday afternoon. It is Survivor Series weekend. This is the Essential Wrestling Podcast Survivor Series special. For the 34th time, we have the WWE, their version of the Fall Classic. Interpromotional brand warfare since 2016. Really haven't had a lot of warfare this year. It's kind of mostly been a war amongst words. Drew McIntyre showed up in June twice. But whatever. I'm happy. I'm excited. I know these guys are excited. I know Baby Yoda, he's excited. There's Baby Yoda right there. Bob Costas. I know Bob Costas is always excited. Easy, look at that right there. Kayla Maroney, I know she's – oh. Okay, so I guess Kayla Maroney might be an AEW fan. But it's okay. It doesn't matter. We're ready to roll right here. We have a panel. We're going 6 strong today. All right, and then as I'm introducing, we're going to share some memories here, some matches, some moments, and stuff that we have that love about the Survivor Series. We're going to start off actually with the very first one, way back in 1987. I want to throw this team up here real quick. Look at that team champion, Hulk Hogan, put together a solid squad. He had Paul Orndorff, Mr. Wonderful. He had Ken Patera, I Spy a Jersey guy, and Bam Bam Bigelow. And actually, I do believe that Don Morocco subbed in for superstar Billy Graham. But John Smith, as stacked as this team is, some team beat them.
Yeah, it wasn't enough to beat Andre the Giant. It didn't matter who his teammates were, but you got King Kong Bundy, Rick Rude, you got Butch Reed, one-man gang. How do you overcome that monstrosity of a team? And as Andre said in his pre-match promo, I'm here for your soul, and tonight, Hogan, I will be a survivor.
John Smith, we're glad to have you on here. We know you're the biggest Andre the Giant fan I know, so I wanted to start off with you. But anything else? Survivor Series. I say Survivor Series. You say what?
First Survivor Series I think of is 1993 because that's the first one I watched live as a kid. Before that, I was always just watching tapes. I was never really able to keep up with the pay-per-views. But, you had Marty Jannetty and 1, 2, 3 Kid being sole survivors. You had The Undertaker, which weirdly enough holding the American flag. This kind of what ruined faces for me, and this is why I love heels so much, because you got terrible Lex Luger, you got Undertaker breaking his character, you got Owen being way better than his brother, and he just turned on him earlier in the show. But Bobby Heenan was the highlight of this one, man. A couple quotes I got from him here. They're all celebrating at the end, and Heenan just matter-of-factly goes, "Nobody looks alike in that family."
He was pretty relentless with Stu Hart. I remember, I think one time he asked him, he just screamed for him to wake up.
He was wearing a Boston Bruins jacket. He's like, "Oh, he's got a picture of his wife on it."
One last thing is, speaking of people not looking like that, here's a Survivor Series team that looked a lot alike.
Oh yeah, what do we call this team, guys? Doinks on a mission, men on a doink. I got some more here. I got doinks on a bush. Doinks on a bush. I got whack on a doink. Missionary doink whackers, So whatever you guys want to call them, but they went and did the clean sweep against Bam Bam Bigelow's team, and that was a pretty epic match with an illegal pile-on 4-on-1 on Bam Bam to finish him off at the end. But overall, good show, great effort by Heenan, and this is why I love heels so much, because all the faces when I grew up were nothing to brag about.
All right, down on the bottom next to you from all the way overseas in Northern Ireland, we have our NXT UK correspondent, Gary Mehaffy. You're joining us for the main show today. How are you, pal?
I am not doing too bad. It's great to be here. Great to be joining you the night before Survivor Series. So
Gary, you said Survivor Series. I say that. What comes to mind here?
1994 for me. It has to be said, and without a doubt, the reason being, similar to what John was saying, I was 18. It was the first one I remember being able to stay up for myself and watch. We just got a satellite dish, and it was Bob Backlund against Bret Hart, and their submission match for the title where Owen ended up getting Helen to throw the towel in and stuff. It was the culmination of a few things. I did love the match. But it's one of those things I look back on the entire night of staying up until like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and watching these things happen live from over here. So it was very memorable. It was a great night.
Yeah, like I said, that was kind of shocking. Like, no, I don't think anybody gave Bob Backlund a chance, especially as old as he was back in 1990. That was 4, right? And then you blinked, you blinked and you missed that title run, because I believe he lost it to a house show to Diesel about 3 days later at Madison Square Garden. But the one thing about that match, Gary, and like I said, Owen Hart, he taught us a very valuable lesson that actually South Park actually went forward and reminded us, don't forget to bring a towel. You never know when you're going to need one. Down next to Gary Mehaffy, right below me, we have our first ever pro wrestling champion, the living legend, John DeConnie. And as the first ever champion, John, it's shows like these, like the Survivor Series. These are the shows that you got to nail to get those big points. We have Mundo points on the line today, as well as, with SummerSlam and the Royal Rumble. These are the matches. These are the points that you got to get here.
Absolutely, yes. The point values raise, and that's where you make up a lot of ground. And most years I've got a lot of ground to make up. So this is where, if you can pull one off, suddenly you're looking at being in the money. So
John DeConnie, is that your Survivor Series one? You mentioned one team specifically right off the bat, and what a hell of a team that these 4 were.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, 2000. Now they've been there for almost a year, but there's just something special, and I get a little misty when I see 2 of my all-time favorites, Eddie and Benoit, walking the aisle at one of the original Big 4 pay-per-views as a team, and they went in there against oddly enough, the of DX, Dog, the One Gun, China, and the very recently found K-Quick, who had just been hanging out with Road Dogg and cutting raps at WWE New York, I think the week before he debuted. They rushed him into that storyline. But just seeing the Radicals, walk the aisle together at one of the original Big 4 pay-per-views, it just gets the heart pumping every time.
Yeah, 100%. That was great. They came out, they were matching, they wore the black and the gold. And yeah, the K-Quick, Ron the Truth Killings, he was there all the way back then. Him and the Road Dogg were moving some things and getting rowdy. So I remember that. Like I said, it was the Outlaws weren't together, but they were together on that team, which was really weird. But so then we have in the top left corner, we have Ryan Joy from Minutes to Bell Time. And Ryan, before we get to your Survivor Series, guys, it starts on Monday. We have the Daily Wrestling News Show. It's going to be airing Monday through Thursdays every week at 10 a.m. Make sure you wake up with your morning cup of joy. Ryan will have actually a big announcement towards the end of the show, in regards to that. But as of right now, Ryan, first of all, thanks again for coming on and supplying the graphics for the matches for tomorrow night for Survivor Series. We're going to see those in a little bit. They came out absolutely fantastic. But again, you jumped the guns. Like, you have one specific Survivor Series that's in your heart. No pun intended.
When you say Survivor Series, Roddy Piper says, "Holy cow! Look at the size of them ham hocks."
They
Check
cut out the ham hocks.
baby.
They cut out the ham hock in the promo.
Survivor Series 1990. I was watching it on tape. I don't know how I came upon the tape. It was the first wrestling video VHS tape that I had as a kid. I think a local video store went out of business and my mom bought it and gave it to me for Christmas or something. So I've watched that show 1,000 times. The match that has The Undertaker in it just so happens to be, there you go. The other 9 guys, all Hall of Famers. The one guy who's probably the most, you got Bret Hart in there, so I don't know, but Bret Hart, Undertaker, the 2 most successful guys probably in WWE history. And The Undertaker's the guy that's not in the Hall of Fame yet. So the rest of them all are. But it was a unique Survivor Series. Opening contest had the WWF champion in it, Ultimate Warrior, with his team, the Legion of Doom and Texas Tornado, Kerry Von Erich. All these guys passed away at this point. Legends of wrestling for sure. But all of I think it was the 3rd match, you had the first ever team to completely survive. The Visionaries, the Warlord, Paul Roma, Rick Martel, the Mighty Hercules, Power and Glory, whose Powerplex is used today by FTR. That entire team survived. And what they did in 1990 was the first and only time. All of the survivors then came back at the end of the night, heels versus face, and we had another contest. And there you see, it was DiBiase and the Visionaries versus Hogan, Warrior, and as Jesse Ventura would say, Chico Santana. So there you go. And then your sole survivors were Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan, who had just previous to that wrestled at WrestleMania 6. So that's my favorite.
That was an absolutely fun card. Like I said, when you bring up the Dream Team and the $1 Million Team, everyone concentrates on the Undertaker and the size of those ham hocks. That match came down to 1-on-1 with the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase and Bret Hitman Hart, and it was absolutely phenomenal. I kind of want to say that was the coming out party for Bret Hart, because it was shortly thereafter at WrestleMania 7 where the Hart Foundation, they called it quits, losing the tag titles, and then Bret started the run that he went on. And then I want to bring this picture back up. Are you sure this is the Warlord? I thought that was Goldberg.
That is the Warlord.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, sorry. But yeah, I mean that match was fun. There's so many classic Roddy Piper and Gorilla Monsoon lines from just that match. You got Roddy Piper who's looking at the Undertaker, who's just standing there, and Roddy Piper says, "Oh, he doesn't look friendly at all." Classic line after classic line. He just wrote an epitaph for Coco. Over and over. I got the whole show in my head. So there you go.
Right, like I said, that grand, and he's got the shirt. Ryan's got the sweatshirt on today too. Like I said, that grand finale, the greatest Survivor Series team ever put together, with Hulk Hogan, then WWF champion, the Ultimate Warrior, and my hometown hero, my neighbor Tito Santana, my gym teacher. Local does good. Arriba, that's right. Like I said, I got the picture up there. It's tough to see with the glare, but I got old school Tito with the green Intercontinental belt that John DeConnie loves so much. And then last but certainly not least, boys, we have our sheriff back, and the rumors are not true. He is 100% okay. Tyler, we've missed you. We've missed that smiling face. How the hell are you?
I'm doing well. I'm working like a madman. I want to be here with you guys. I can't be most times, but I'm happy I'm here today. Survivor Series. Let's get into it. Let's do it.
All right, so Tyler, here we go. It's time for your time. I say Survivor Series. You're actually gonna stick with the theme of the present day Survivor Series.
Yeah, for me, 2005. I wasn't, I'm a lot younger than most people in here. I think just about everybody. Wrestling to me in the 90s doesn't hold that same sentiment when I look back on it. So I look at it from a perspective of also being one of the first shows I watched live. Undertaker and Randy Orton were going through their almost year-long thing in Survivor Series. Team Raw was, at the time stacked. SmackDown was probably even more stacked. SmackDown eventually comes out on top. Randy Orton, he's up on everybody's shoulders. They're celebrating. He just carried SmackDown to a Survivor Series win. And then after being lit on fire and 8-year-old me thinking he's gone forever, The Undertaker shoots out of a flaming casket, and Randy Orton needs a new pair of trunks. So Survivor Series, that for me is one of the first things I think of.
Yeah, that was the first ever Raw versus SmackDown interpromotional elimination match. It was the second overall, and I'll get to that in a second. But I got a list here. We're gonna take a trip down memory lane, real quick. First, we're gonna stop. We're gonna to 1988. They're back in the first two Survivor Series, 87, 88. They did what they did in 2016 as well. They had tag team elimination matches. So you had 5 teams on each side. You had 20 guys in the ring. It was absolutely incredible. The one in 1998, just listen to the teams that are in this match. You had the Powers of Pain with the British Bulldogs, the Hart Foundation, the Rockers, and the Young Stallions. That was just on one team. And if you never thought it would be true, but there is a match in history where Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels were on an actual tag team, technically. They faced a team of the WWF Tag Team Champions of Demolition, the Brainbusters, Arn and Tully. We see them all the time nowadays. The Fabulous Rougeau Brothers, the Bolsheviks, and the Conquistadors. And the Conquistadors were this jobber team back then. They made it to the end. It came down to the Conquistadors, and I forget it was the Young Stallions, and I think it was the Young Stallions. Yeah, unbelievable performance by the Conquistadors in that match, and it was jaw-dropping. The first time I watched them, like these two scrubs will be out in 5 seconds, and they lasted the whole way. We're going to fast forward ahead of time. In 2003, there was a lot on the line in this elimination match where Team Austin goes against Team Bischoff. Now, the story with this one goes, there were co-general managers. Austin kept on beating people up in the position of authority. He wasn't allowed to. So the stipulation was if Austin's team won, he was allowed to raise hell. And if Bischoff's team won, he would have complete control of Raw. And that's exactly what happened. Came down to Randy Orton and Shawn Michaels. Batista interfered on behalf of Orton and Evolution with Team Bischoff. This was the first of, I believe, 3 years in a row, Randy Orton was the sole survivor by himself. Everyone's using the word sole survivor, too. Like, if 3 people survive, they're not all sole survivors. They're just survivors. Like, it's soul one. Like, unless I'm the wrong kind of soul. It's like Dr. Slick. The Doctor Style, the Dr. Soul. No, it's not that one either. Okay, no problem. We then jump forward to 2014. This was a memorable one, too. We got Team Cena versus Team Authority. It was a great match. Everyone kind of had the Authority pegged to win because if Team Cena won, the Authority would have to lose power. It's exactly what happened. It was shocking that Dolph Ziggler, out of the 5 guys that were on that team, Dolph Ziggler was the one that got it done for Team Cena. Big Show turned heel for, I believe, the record 50th time in this match as well. And then the only one that stipulation was the only one that can bring the Authority back to power was John Cena. And what Seth Rollins did was he held Edge hostage. And the reason why I want to bring that up, because this is probably going to have WrestleMania. This is going to be brought back up at WrestleMania because if I had my way booking, I would do Edge and Seth Rollins because Rollins punked out Edge pretty bad in that segment to get the Authority back into power. In 2016, we had our first Raw vs. SmackDown show. This is where all the stats and numbers we're going to get from today. This was the first match on the men's side. This match went like 45 minutes or so, and it was absolutely amazing. This did everything Survivor Series justice. Team SmackDown came out on top with Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt being the survivors. And then it continued on, and with the inclusion of NXT last year, the women, they got at it pretty hard too. Rhea Ripley, as Ryan Joy mentioned on last Tuesday on the Essential Wrestling Podcast, Rhea Ripley really came out of her shell at this point in time last year, winning War Games pretty much by herself with Candice LeRae. The two of them, they won a 2-on-4. Then they both came in, Rhea and Candice survived as well as Io Shirai. So that was pretty awesome as well. As Ryan mentioned in his beginning the first ever team to survive completely were the Visionaries. Hasn't happened since 2014, though. 8 teams have survived completely throughout the course of the history of Survivor Series, but it hasn't been done since 2014, where Natalia, Naomi, Alicia Fox, and Emma were the last team to do it. So we haven't had a full team completely survive in 6 years now. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, Al, really quickly to backtrack on your Team Cena versus Team Authority little mention there. You also forgot that was the WWE debut of Sting.
Al, was it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I tend to forget Sting.
Remember, Sting cost him that match and actually rolled Ziggler onto Rollins for the pin.
There you go. That would explain how Ziggler got the win on that. Yeah, because Cena was already eliminated after a Big Show punch, right?
Yeah.
So now, not all Survivor Series memories have to do with elimination matches. I'm going to take it in 1998 right now with the Deadly Games tournament. This was from top to bottom. This was actually an amazing show, very well written. How they did the match format. Right here we have Stone Cold Steve Austin, who just lost the WWF title. It was vacated. He was pinned by Kane and The Undertaker at the same time. So here are the brackets that were on that show. As you can see, Kane and The Undertaker, because of that, they received a bye. This tournament was stacked. This was the who's who of the WWF back in 1998. Triple H up there against The Rock. That match didn't happen because Hunter was hurt. That was a Vince McMahon scoop thing right there. I'll get to that in a second. Jeff Jarrett, Al Snow. They see the Boss Man against Stone Cold on the bottom. William Regal was a real man's man on this show, which is absolutely hysterical to see. But it all came down at the end. It was The Rock that won this tournament. He turned corporate. It was a swerve the whole time because the people were starting to cheer The Rock. They were starting to get behind him after a split from the Nation of Domination. And they gave him the belt. He went corporate. And this started the whole thing with Rock and Austin at WrestleMania 15. But as I mentioned, in the prior break with the brackets that Triple H was injured, he was replaced by the Big Boss Man. This guy was the MVP for the corporation this entire show. He had his hands thick in this tournament, getting rid of Austin, making sure The Rock advanced. He was absolutely all over the place to make sure that Mr. McMahon's plans were accomplished, and they were. So kudos to the Big Boss Man for that one. But that wasn't the only tournament that's happened in Survivor Series history. Back in 2015, after Seth Rollins got hurt, Roman Reigns won a tournament. They only did the final 4. Roman Reigns won that tournament. This was his first ever WWF Championship. Proud moment. I know my wife was absolutely ecstatic. She is a huge Roman Reigns fan. She was so happy to see him finally become WWF Champion. Triple H, the leader of the Authority, he came out being the good boss man that he is, came out and sends a handshake to Roman Reigns. Congratulations, pal. Good job. But Roman Reigns decided to punch Triple H in the face instead. So here comes Sheamus with the Money in the Bank briefcase. Boom, bro kick, and Roman Reigns' first WWF Championship run lasts 5 minutes and 35 seconds. Everybody all together now. Womp, 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 womp. Probably going to be sleeping on the couch for that segment later tonight, but I'll that's for the team right there.
Does not look like the head of the table there, man.
He does not look like the head of the table right there. And then pretty much the top 2 moments, in top Survivor Series history, this is debatable, obviously like that, but you can't mention the Survivor Series without the Montreal Screwjob. And to be quite honest, the argument Brett Screw Brett, Vince Screw, whatever you want to call it, whatever happened with those two. This was the birth of the Attitude Era and the birth of Vince McMahon as an actual character in this this company. So it's actually kind of funny to see as ridiculous as this was when it was happening and it was shocking or whatever. Where would it have been if Brett stayed and Vince McMahon was never a character? There would be no Austin McMahon. There would be not maybe as much Attitude Era. Who knows where we will be right now? But because of this match, what stemmed off this is just absolutely incredible. And then in 2001, winner take all, Team WWF versus the Alliance. This was the battle. This was it. If WWF won, they got to stay in business. If the Alliance won, then WCW would be going on. And thank God for Kurt Angle, because we'd be sitting here talking about Nitro and Thunder and the WCW Power Plant instead of talking about Raw, SmackDown, and NXT on a weekly basis. So thank you, Kurt Angle, for joining the Alliance. That was hysterical when he joined the Alliance. Well, my job's on the line. I'm not staying with those guys. Those guys suck. Anyway, but thank you. Yeah, he was a pawn. He was the help with Mr. McMahon, and they got the job done on that one. Now, to go back to what Tyler said, and we're about to kick off the 2020 Survivor Series with a little bit of history right here. Back in 2005, Tyler mentioned the Raw vs. SmackDown, the elimination match that kind of started this whole thing. There was one match prior to that on that same show. It was the match right before the elimination match, and this is the first interpromotional match, the first ever Raw vs. SmackDown match in Survivor Series history, and it's led us up to this very day. It is Raw General Manager Eric Bischoff versus SmackDown General Manager Teddy Long. So this is where it started. Teddy Long got the victory due to the Boogeyman interference. The Boogeyman apparently did a pump handle slam on Eric Bischoff. And Teddy struck first for Team SmackDown going forward. So here's where we are today going into tomorrow night. As far as the past since 2016, this will be the 5th show. The first 3 went to Raw. And last year, NXT, they made a brief appearance. They snuck away with the win last year. They won it by the score of 4-2. I believe Raw had 2 wins, and SmackDown had 2 wins. Raw had 1. I digress with that, though. But SmackDown has yet to get on the board here. If you look at all the matches, the interpromotional matches in Survivor Series history, including the champions versus champions, the title matches, the general managers I just mentioned, they're fighting each other. Here are their records. Raw is just a little over 500 right now, as well as NXT. SmackDown, they've just been getting stampeded. They got swept a couple of years ago by Raw, so they really need to get their act together if they want to stay on Fox. In 2017, they started the champions versus champions matches. Here are the records for those champions versus champions matches, and here's a fun little fact right here. This started, like I said, in 2017. The first 3 matches on that show were won by SmackDown. They were won by Baron Corbin beating The Miz, Charlotte Flair beating Alexa Bliss, and the Usos beating The Bar. So SmackDown started off in this category 3-0, and they have not won since. So we got to take that into consideration, picking our champions versus champions matches on this show. And then for the elimination records, Raw, again, a steady lead right here at 7-5. NXT went 1-1 last year. SmackDown just can't buy a bucket on this show. So hopefully maybe this is they can turn it around this year. So as far as our standings go, here are our standings going into Survivor Series. John DeConnie tied me last week at Turning Point. He's ahead of me based on percentage points. John Smith is right behind us. Ryan Joy at 279. Tyler missed a couple shows here and there. We thought he was in the hospital. Turns out he was just working. So, and as far as our WWF shows are concerned, and Gary, just so you know, there's a reason why I wanted to bring you along here, because you're the only one that's actually doing worse than I am in this thing. So, Gary, thanks for hopping aboard on this episode. We appreciate you, pal. But John McConney has a small lead over Ryan Joy right now. Tyler, John Smith right behind them, and then Gary and I dropping down in the basement. So that is where we are starting right now, gentlemen. Does everybody catch their breath? Mostly me. I'm ready to roll. They announced yesterday on the kickoff show there will be a battle royal. Oh, I'm sorry, the scoring. Here we go. This is the most important thing, right? The points are worth 5 times as more, so it's 25 points for the WWE versus Universal Champions match, 20 points for the elimination matches, 15 points for all the other champions matches, and then 5 points for anything non-championship related, which will be the Battle Royal we're going to discuss real quick. We will be doing confidence points. We'll explain those a little bit later for the elimination matches. The kickoff show matches count for the Big 4 pay-per-views, so that will go towards the pool. The men's Money in the Bank wager, we'll get into the Miz in a little bit as well. And if you go Henny on this one, you get an extra 25 points. So there's going to be a lot of movement in the standings because of this show. And like I said, we're going to start with the dual-branded Battle Royal on the kickoff show. They announced this yesterday. Ryan Joy reported it to us, and it's a good thing, a good catch by Ryan. So Ryan, because you called it, we'll let you lead with this. Who do you have in the dual brand kickoff show battle royal?
J Rocks. J Rocks. I can't keep a beat, but Big E.
No, really?
Big E.
Any particular reason why? What are we thinking here?
Well, I just think he's an important person on his historic singles run, and he's not on the team, so he gets my vote.
All right, we'll go clockwise here. John Smith.
Yeah, I picked Big E as well. He's been the only guy highlighted on the show that hasn't been doesn't really have an angle. His angle is his boys' angle on Raw. He's just talking smack for him on SmackDown. So I like the idea of him coming out on the pre-show and holding his hands high with the victory.
All right, Gary Mehaffy, you're going a different way here.
Yeah, I've gone Dominic Mysterio.
I love that. That's bold.
I've gone for Dominic. I just think that whole storyline's obviously still going on, and I think that they'll use that to play into some other stuff that happens on the show. So I've picked him to come out on that one.
All right, Tyler, we'll bounce up to you. Tyler, who do you got in this one, pal?
I got Elias. I've watched him get thrown around by John Cena twice at 2 different WrestleManias. I watched The Undertaker take care of him last year after WrestleMania. I think the guy's due for something.
All right. John DeConnie, I think you have an agreement with that, correct?
Absolutely. I am on the same boat there with Tyler. I figured, fella just put out an album that, is breaking all kinds of records, and, spotlight the guy a bit. And I think this is a place where to take a bow.
All right, I just want to bring in real quick Joey Romano, who's watching the show. He has an idea here, real quick. We'll throw this out there before we keep going. They should introduce a belt for the winning brand, or even a male, female steal somebody in the draft to get the, you want some kind of prize on the line here for winning this Survivor Series. I guess just brand supremacy I guess isn't enough.
I think they did that kind of concept a couple years back with the bragging rights pay-per-view.
Yeah, I know bragging rights is a stem off of, I guess that was the first thing, but yeah.
Well, because if my memory serves me right, rather, for Team SmackDown, it was Edge and Mysterio were the last 2 for the match, and they held up that weird knockoff Great Value Stanley Cup.
Diet Stanley Cup.
Stanley Cup. Basically,
low carb Stanley Cup Zero.
Yeah, they had the red and blue ropes that met in the middle. I think we should do that again.
So for me with this, and unfortunately, I guess maybe the reason why this guy particularly stuck out in my head, because when Postman Pierce was naming the 5th and final member of Team SmackDown, you didn't see who he was talking to, but he was talking about. I was like, oh. So Lars Sullivan, he got stuck in my head, and he just said he's got the power, he's got the size, the freak. I think it would be a good step going for him in the right direction if Lars wins that. So I'm going to take Lars Sullivan.
The winner should get to pick their spot or get the 30th spot in the Rumble.
Oh,
ooh,
interesting. Okay, so now that the kickoff show is picked, our hammies are stretched, our groins are lustful, we are ready to roll. Ooh, yeah, feels so good. We're ready to roll with the Survivor Series main card, and we're going to start off with the Tag Team Champions versus Tag Team Champions match. Here's a little history with this particular title and brand. Where did it get up there? There we go. The Raw Tag Team Champions are 2-1 in this contest with victories the past 2 years with the Viking Raiders and the Authors of Pain. The Usos, as I mentioned before, they won in 2017. The Undisputed Era did not get the job done last year for NXT. And here are the contenders this year. We have the Raw Tag Team Champions. We have the New Day against the Street Profits. Now, they traded their title. They got drafted. They were both former, I guess, other champions, and they switched the belts after the draft. The New Day's been fighting along with the Hurt Business. Meanwhile, the Street Profits on SmackDown have been trying to pick Big E's brain on how to beat the New Day, and Big E just keeps on telling them that they're going to lose. Then last night, they actually had an 8-man tag. They had the tag together. They got along for the most part, but again, they got into a little bit. Kofi accidentally hit Montez Ford and so forth. So we got a little bit of small interaction between these two. It's a little bit more than most of these things that have been going on. So we're going to start right now with John DeConnie as our resident tag team enthusiast. Who do you got in this one?
I feel like, the New Day, I mean, they're stars. They are pillars of the tag team division in this company. But I just feel like the Street Profits are on a roll. And even though they don't defend all that often, when they are in the ring, there's just something spectacular about seeing Tez jump into the stratosphere for that frog splash at the end. And I see Street Profits getting the job done.
All right, we're going to keep it going. We're going to go, it's a counterclockwise this time. Gary, who do you got on this one?
I'm the same. I'm with the Street Profits in this one too. I think that the New Day would be able to recover easier from the loss if they take it. And so because of that, and just to give them a little bit of momentum on the brand, I think they're going to go Street Profits just to take it.
All right, John Smith.
Yeah, I'm going with Diet New Day also.
Any particular reason why? Or
No, I agree with these guys over here.
all right, Ryan Joy.
Yeah, I mean, when Montez Ford does that frog splash, the only person higher in the company than him is Matt Riddle.
There you go.
So
There you go, Tyler.
Yeah, I got to go Street Profits. It's this New Day. They'll like I think Gary was saying, they'll recover from the loss. They'll be fine. They're still probably one of, if not the hottest tag team still running through the company. The Street Profits, I don't think they can really afford to lose this one.
All right, I've been betting against the Street Profits to lose those belts when they were Raw Team Tag. I think I picked against them 7 times consecutively against Andrade and Angel Garza, and it was never meant to be. It just seems like they're on fire right now, and they're just going to keep rolling. I know the New Day, that was a huge win on Monday, beating the Hurt Business. That was a big match. That was a fun match. That was a great match. So this is a toss-up. I just think Street Profits have just had more of a longer momentum, I guess, strain since John Smith watched them win the Raw Tag Team Champions back when fans were allowed at the Barclays Center.
Yeah.
So I will go with the Street Profits as well. We're going to do one of the elimination matches right now. It is ladies' night. We're going to do the ladies up first. SmackDown, again, just cannot get out of their own way. The women have done nothing in Survivor Series history in any regards to help this brand out in winning these shows. It's kind of a small print, but you see Nia Jax won in 2018. Asuka got it done for Raw in 17. Charlotte Flair and Bayley both survived in 2016. And then they had a match way back in 2008 that Beth Phoenix won for Raw over SmackDown. And then, as I mentioned earlier, when NXT was involved last year, Rhea Ripley, Candice LeRae, and Io Shirai. It was more Rhea than anybody. Candice and Io, they got injured in the beginning, and then they kind of came out at the end for the help in a small way. But SmackDown got to get out of the gate here. So here is who Team Raw has out there right now. They can't get along. They got Peyton Royce, Shayna Baszler. I'll get this ticker out here so we can see the stats. Peyton Royce, Shayna Baszler, Lana, Nia Jax, and Lacey Evans. They are not getting along, and this has got to the point where they've pretty much injured each other. Shayna Baszler taking credit for the injury, keeping Mandy Rose out of this match. Dana Brooke, who was also originally supposed to be in this match, she was taken out by Crazy Glue of Retribution on Monday. Lacey Evans and Peyton Royce were named as their replacements. And as John DeConnie loves to bring to our attention every week, For the past 9 weeks, Nia Jax has put Lana through a table via the Samoan drop. So for Team SmackDown, they finished their team up last night. Postman Pierce named Bayley on the team. That is a huge addition. And then Natalya, this whole story has been about Natalya. And to be pretty fair and to be pretty honest with this, it should be. She is the boat of professional wrestling, but she is also the boat of Survivor Series. Let's go to the numbers here. All-time appearances in Survivor Series elimination match history. Natalya tops the list with 6. So Alicia Fox, Naomi have 5. Carmella, Sasha Banks, they competed the past 4 years. Bayley and Nia Jax are currently at 3. So if they do end up competing in this match, which they should, they will join that list as well. If you go to eliminations, Natalya tops that list also. Her and Sasha Banks with 6. Asuka 5. Aja Kong, we didn't mention her in the beginning, but she's the only person in wrestling history, male or female, to eliminate an entire team by herself. That was one match. She got those 4 eliminations against Team Alundra Blaze, I believe she fought that year. And then Naomi for Bayley has 3 eliminations. Again, she's a huge addition, Bayley and Natalya. And then most matches survived in the history. Natalya is the only one in history with more than one. Charlotte Flair, Bayley, Nia Jax, as you see on the bottom. Bayley and Nia Jax both with 1, but Charlotte Flair, I do believe Alundra Blaze does has a survival on it as well. Asuka's also survived the match, like I mentioned earlier. So, but as you can see by all of this, Natalya and Bayley were huge additions last night for SmackDown. So, Brian Joy, you have been on record on numerous occasions for calling Lana as the sole survivor, the only survivor and winner of this match. Are you going to be keeping with that?
You know, that adding Bayley and adding Natalya really put that in jeopardy. And combine that with Bianca Belair, who I think is actually probably the one that the most focus is put on in terms of like needing a spotlight. I feel like my prediction is in jeopardy, but I'm going to be stubborn and stick to my guns and say that Lana is the sole survivor. She's getting all my confidence points, followed by Nia Jax, Shayna, Lacey, and Peyton. I'm pretty confident Lacey and Peyton are pretty much out. Maybe Nia and Shayna, they may get rid of each other. Who knows? But Lana, I think, is the sole survivor. And then she gets put through a table.
All right, so let's explain the confidence points real picks. I mean, not only do we get 20 points for picking the correct team, we're going to give ourselves bonus points through this confidence point system. So Ryan is picking Team Raw. If Team Raw wins, he gets 20 points regardless. But then if any of these women, when these women survive, hypothetically, if Shayna Baszler is the sole survivor, Ryan will get a bonus 6 points. If Baszler survives with Lacey and Nia Jax, he'll get all the point values attached to the women that survive. So he's going all in. He's going 10 points with Lana right there. So, John Smith, I have you up next on the docket. Who do you got?
Yeah, that's a bold pick with Lana at the 10 confidence points, man. I like it. But no, I'm going with SmackDown on this one. I think, like you were saying about Bianca, I think this is where she starts to get her spotlight. I think she's going to be the sole survivor. Nice picture. I was wondering if it was going to be the picture of me with the groceries. No, I like Bayley next. I mean, I don't like any of these women to survive, honestly. So I went with Natalya going out first just because she tried so hard to get on the team, and then she's going to be the first one eliminated. And then I like Bayley to stick around for a while, just, so she doesn't lose all of her mojo after losing that title. So, I got Bianca being the sole survivor here.
All right. John DeConnie, before we get to you, we got another comment from Joey Romano here. He's also taking Lana as a sole survivor by herself. Again, people grammatically correct here. You can't have more than one sole survivor. So, John DeConnie, who do you got in this match?
All right. So outside of the gentleman on this 6-way screen, The person I talk wrestling with the most is my next door neighbor, Joe. And he always tells me, you think way too much about this stuff. You put way too much effort and thought into it. Well, here I go again. I'm mostly with Ryan Joy on this, that Lana will be, I'm giving her my most confidence points. But I see a storyline. Oh, dear God, the picture. I see a scenario where Natty is the last remaining SmackDown superstar. And if we remember back a little bit, Lana and Natty were good buddies. And Lana will once again be told, stay away, do not tag in. And I believe Nia will do most of the work on Natty, leave her laying, and then get too close to the corner. Lana will tag herself in, pissing off Nia, and Nia will use her as a weapon, perhaps Samoan dropping her onto Natty, and their two lifeless bodies will be left in the middle of the ring for Lana to get the 3 count. And Bianca, who is, of course, unstoppable, will perhaps be counted out with Shayna somewhere along the line.
Okay. Who do I got next up on the list? Gary, I do believe I have you next, pal.
I am with, I think it's as well, John Smith and I are in the 2 squares beside each other here on the Celebrity Squares panel. It's like, I'm going with Bianca to be, and maybe with Liv. Look at that. What a pic. I am hot. Am I what? Look at that. When you've got it, you've got it. No, I'm going with Bianca. I think Bianca and Liv to both survive at the end of it. Liv, there's been a bit of focus on the network. I think with Bianca, that's with me picking the Street Profits as well, that both of them are going to then get together. I had Natty being first out and she can throw her hissy fit or whatever, but I just think to give a little bit of momentum, Bailey will stand for a wee while and then some stuff will happen that will give her a chance to get some other feuds coming out of the Sasha stuff. But I think Bianca and Liv will be the 2 that will be hanging on at the end.
All right, so we got 2 for Raw, 2 for SmackDown. Tyler, you got to break the tie here, pal. Who do you got?
I took Raw. You know, it's looking at their team. You know, Lana, I think she's going through like 4 more tables. I'm sorry, dude. It's just based off Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax alone. That team is hard to take out. You know, I do give SmackDown a lot of credit. They have probably a women's GOAT in Natalya for Survivor Series matches for women. And don't get me wrong, I think she's going to keep them in there. But, you know, the Raw team is just – those 2 right there make that a very scary women's Survivor Series team.
All right. Tyler apparently changed his pick from what he told me. That's why I didn't get to put the graphic up for him. This is where I'm going right now. I'm going to go Team SmackDown as well. And I have it coming down is that all this stuff with Lana, I'm buying it. All right, so both of these stories, okay, so you have Lana versus Natalya. Those are the 2 big stories for Raw and SmackDown. I will buy Lana to be there at the end, whether Nia puts her through a table early and she, just lays on the outside till the very end. I think Natalya and John Smith, and agree with you 100%. She tried so hard to be on. She's going to be the first one out, and it's going to be quick. I'll give her the benefit. I'll throw her in the points, the 4-point range, out of respect in case I'm wrong. But I got Bianca Belair and Bayley both winning this match, possibly Liv Morgan as well. I spy a Jersey girl in Liv Morgan. I'll give her the higher point value out of the Riot Squad. But yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm not buying this Lana thing. I do think she will be there at the end because I do think that's kind of what people want to see here, especially you guys who are taking her to be the sole survivor. I think it's going to be teased and all that till the very end, and there's just no way that I can see 1-on-1 or a 1-on-2 against Bianca Belair and possibly Bayley that Lana can get it done. She's going to need a lot of help. And I said Natalya was her one friend, and they're not friends anymore. So that should be interesting. Going forward to the, I guess we can call it a mid-card, a secondary championship, mid-card championship, whatever you want to call it right now, in the champions versus champions history. I guess we'll call it mid-card for now. In Survivor Series history since 2017, each brand with a win. Seth Rollins got the win for Raw in 2018. I do believe he beat Shinsuke Nakamura. Roderick Strong won the triple threat last year, and then Baron Corbin beat The Miz back in 2017. But the titles have flip-flopped, so it doesn't really change the records. The United States champion, John DeConnie, he's happy that I used MVP's belt and not the one that I wanted to use. I'm trying to be professional here. Like I said, Baron Corbin got the win as United States champion. Seth Rollins got the win as Intercontinental champion. So going into this year, we have Bobby Lashley, who is MVP's United States champion, representing Monday Night Raw against Sami Zayn, the Intercontinental champion, in his eyes, since February, right? He won on the Elimination Chamber. Not in the Chamber, but that's where he originally won it. John Smith as our resident Hurt Business advocate. There you go. That's the word I wanted to use. Hurt Business advocate. What do you got?
Squash. I'm thinking less than a minute and a half. Bobby Lashley takes this one.
Wow. Okay.
Could be 15 seconds. It could be like Sheamus, Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania.
Wow. Okay. Ryan Joy, these two have faced off 2 years ago at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view in 2018. Lashley got 3 suplexes for the win. I believe that caused Sami Zayn to get vertigo, if my memory is correct. Sami was out of action for a little bit with vertigo. Do we believe to see Lashley's 3 sisters involved in this match? Do you think Sami's going to give him a call again?
The sisters are gone. My man Leo Rush is someplace else. But I will still stand and go, Lashley, in his absence. Bobby Lashley for the win.
Okay. Tyler, we got 2 for Lashley. What about you, buddy?
You got 2 for Lashley. You got 1 for Sami Zayn.
All righty. What's the thought process?
I just Sami Zayn doing Sami Zayn things. I don't see this match going the way everybody else thinks it's going to go. Sami's going to pull something out of he's going to pull something out of the residents of a certain Kiss My Ass club and come out of there with the victory.
All right. It's the Sami Zayn. They say we counted him out a couple times, and he's been outthinking his competition, John DeConnie.
Yeah, you're talking about a guy who used handcuffs through an earlobe. He managed to get a competitor's ankle caught in the apron strings underneath the ring. So as much as I could absolutely see if they literally butt heads to go head-to-head, I could absolutely see the squash coming for Lashley. But I think Sami does something wacky to outthink Lashley and winds up with the victory.
All right. John Smith, I forgot to mention this. You got a little heel-on-heel action here. You excited for this match?
No, because it's going to be a squash. It's going to be over before it starts.
Yeah, I had a problem picking this one. You know, the obvious pick, and I went with it just because Bobby Lashley's bigger, stronger, faster. I went with Lashley. All it takes is one catch, and he's got the full Nelson, the Nelson months from the Simpsons on. Yeah, I'm not going to count Sami out of this so quickly. I just don't think that he's got to hit that haluva kick early and try to capitalize on it. But I can't. If Sami wins this, it's going to be something spectacular. He's going to have some kind of genius game plan, and I'm looking forward to it if that happens. But I'm going to go with Lashley. I just don't see it. On the women's side of the champions versus champions matches.
All right, don't worry about the Irish people. It's all right. We've been put down for years, and it's fine. Don't you worry. It's just that the racism in its highest form there. It's fine. No, move along. No. Just for those of you who are interested, thank you.
You said you got Lashley. I'm sorry, I talked over you.
Yeah. Got Lashley.
I'm sorry, pal. Yeah. All right, I'm going to let you lead on this one, then. How about that? The women's championship, here it is. SmackDown's got a little bit of a leg here. There's only been 2 women's champions versus champions matches since 2017. The one missing was unfortunately when Nia Jax broke Becky Lynch's nose and she wasn't able to compete. So Ronda Rousey beating Charlotte Flair technically doesn't count as a champions versus champions match because Charlotte Flair was not SmackDown Women's Champion at the time. But Charlotte Flair did beat Alexa Bliss in 2017. Shayna Baszler got the triple threat win over Becky and Bayley last year. So here we got the representatives this year for Raw and SmackDown. Ryan, I know I told you earlier that we will leave you on this one. I'm going to give Gary the shot. I give Gary the nod. I feel bad now. That's not good. So
No,
Gary,
I'm just going to refuse. I'm just going to refuse the answer. No, I'm only joking. I go against a lot of very popular opinion and think that Sasha Banks is incredibly overrated as a wrestler. She's great. She's great, but I don't think she's as great as people think she is. But I could never pick against Asuka. I just think should be a great match, but I just think at the end of it, may well be that Bayley or someone will get involved as well. But I do think that Asuka will squeeze it out.
All right, so we'll go to Ryan Joy. You recently on the Body Slam Brigade newsletter that you write weekly for the minutestobelltime.com website that you own. You mentioned a lot of Sasha and Bayley, and Asuka was involved in most of that this past summer, specifically at SummerSlam. So Asuka's been champ since then. She got the win over Sasha then. Anything else you want to bring up?
Yeah, let me set the stage for 2020 Asuka and Sasha Banks. There's been 4 matches. One was kind of a no contest. Bayley counted the fall as the referee, so they kind of throw that match away.
The Bleep Show at Extreme Rules.
There you go. Sasha Banks came back and won the Raw Championship definitively, sort of. Bayley took out Kyrie in the back. And then we got Asuka with 2 straight wins, back-to-back nights, 8/23, 8/24. That's SummerSlam and Raw the next night for the Lumberjack match. So right now, we basically have Sasha 1 victory, Asuka 2 victories. We go to Survivor Series. I think Sasha gets another victory. I think that Sasha is trying to solidify this run. Asuka is sort of leveling off. I think we get another victory for Sasha Banks.
All right. Tyler, last night on SmackDown, Carmella, again, for the 3rd week in a row, jumped Sasha Banks. Any involvement from her, or what are you thinking on this one?
Maybe. I could see it definitely happening, or I can at least see her trying to cause a distraction. I did pick Sasha Banks to win this match just based off the fact that she just got her first title defense ever.
Yeah.
So that's all the momentum I needed to hear. But I could definitely see this turning around the other way and having Carmella cost Sasha Banks the match to set up their little feud heading into TLC in the next couple months.
All right. John Smith, I know you are an Asuka advocate.
You know it. I definitely got Asuka winning this one, and it's not just because I love her. I think it's because of Carmella. I think Carmella's the reason Sasha loses. They're going to have a great match, and Sasha will get the bank statement in on Asuka, but somehow Carmella will interfere, and that'll be that, in my opinion.
All right, and finally, John Akani.
Yes, I am on board with Ryan once again in thinking that Sasha won the belt. Sasha finally defended the belt, and then that one more monkey to get off her back would be to beat Asuka. And it's tough for me to bet against Asuka, but I think if you're telling a good story here, Sasha gets the win.
All right. So the weird thing about this is Asuka's got absolutely zero going on right now. She has no feuds. She hasn't defended the title in a while. It's been weird how they've just been doing somewhat nothing for her. Sasha's saying that she's going to make sure that Asuka taps to the bank statement. She said that last night when Asuka was invited to SmackDown. As far as I can remember, the only time Asuka has ever tapped is Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania, and I think that was just a thing for Charlotte. I don't think that Asuka is going to tap for anybody ever again, and that includes Sasha Banks. Again, this is going to be one of those things. It could go either way, but I'm just going with Asuka just because I think she's better, and she's not going to be able to tap out. Now, Sasha Banks, just like Bailey. She gets a little tap happy every once in a while. It's not below Sasha Banks to hit her hand on the mat. So I will go with Asuka. 2 more matches to go here. We got the men's traditional elimination match. There have been 5 of those in Survivor Series history. SmackDown has the edge on this one. They have the edge in very few categories. Their men's team has it here right now. It said Raw won it 2 of the last 3 years. Roman Reigns got the win last year. As I mentioned, Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton won in 2016. Tyler mentioned in his moments and memories when Randy Orton won in 2005. Here is the Raw men's team. The story with them is just like the women's team. They are just not getting along, despite AJ Styles' best efforts to get them to get along. He is their self-appointed team captain, and right then and there, that just sends everybody in a tizzy, I believe, if I'm using the word tizzy correctly. And then recently, on this past Monday, they lost a warm-up match, a 4-on-4 warm-up match against the Retribution members, Mustafa Ali, along with Paintbrush, Ziploc, and Beef Sausage. So, don't laugh at that. I thought Beef Sausage was funny. Damn you guys.
No selling your jokes, man.
No, exactly. What the hell? I thought Beef Sausage was gold. If you look at Braun Strowman on the far right, he's got a little bit of history. We'll get to him right now. You can see a lot of these all-time statistics. Randy Orton's on top of most of them. He's sitting on the sidelines tomorrow night. Right now, he said he lost his match with Drew McIntyre, so he's out of Survivor Series, but he's the all-time leader in elimination match appearances. In case you didn't know, Kane, Dr. Isaac Yankem, and the Fake Diesel are all the same person, and it's good to see the British Bulldog on the list. I like that. The most eliminations in history, like I said, Braun Strowman, great addition. He has 8 and counting. He's going to be representing Team Raw. Rey Mysterio sitting on the sidelines for SmackDown. He has 9. Then they got Heartbreak, Big Show, and again, Randy on top with 16, a nice little lead. He just owns the Survivor Series, and that includes matches survived. He sits alone on top with 5 over Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior, who survived twice in the same night, as Ryan Joy mentioned earlier. And then you got a cluster bleep at 3 with Big Show, Jeff Hardy on the sidelines tonight. John Cena, the Macho Man, Rey Mysterio, Shawn Michaels, Triple H all sit with 3. And then for Team Raw, Sheamus and Braun Strowman, they have experience in winning these matches, not only winning, but surviving them. So Sheamus and Braun Strowman sitting at 2, looking to join this illustrious list. But they're going to have this group to go against. Kevin Owens qualified first. He had a match with Jey Uso. The week after he qualified, he had some jokes about Roman Reigns' relationship with Jey Uso, and we haven't seen him since. Apparently, the way you guys didn't find my beef sausage joke funny, because Jey Uso did not find what KO had to say funny either. Otis was just named last night by Postman Pierce, and I thought it was Lars Sullivan, so I'm actually, for the first time in a long time, I'm actually happy to see Otis' face right there in that graphic. The SmackDown Savior, almost got that one wrong. He joined as well as Baron Corbin, both with help from Murphy, ironically enough. So we'll leave it at that. Tyler, I had you listed first here with the graphic. Did you change your pick again?
Yeah, I didn't realize that I put in the wrong pick for you. That's my bad. But this time I'm pretty sure that I picked Team Raw.
You are correct. You ready to go? And who do you got for your confidence points? Who do you think's going to survive?
So I Keith Lee and Braun Strowman are almost two. Yeah, solid picture. Thanks. You look at Keith Lee, you look at Braun Strowman, you look at the tear that Braun Strowman has been on most of this year, and it's almost hard to bet against him not being either the sole survivor or being a survivor. Period. Sheamus, I just don't like him, so I gave him 2 points. Riddle, this team really could go in any direction as far as who's going to be the sole survivor, who's going to be, if multiple people are surviving. I just think that's a really tough team to beat generally.
100%. I think you're going to have a lot of people agreeing with you, including Gary Mehaffy. You're up next, Gary.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm going for Raw, but I can see I have Riddle. as we'll have to call him nowadays. And Keith Lee, I think the two of them will come out on top. Much as with Natty and the other one, I think may go out early. I think AJ may well go out early, seeing as he was trying to appoint himself captain. I think he was out early on, and then plays off that as they go on into Raw. But I think that they're going to give Keith Lee and Riddle just a little bit of a push to make the fans think that they're going to do something with them, and then probably in about 2 weeks' time they'll forget about it and just go back to Sheamus and Braun or something. But I just think it was a really close match to call. I couldn't decide which way I was going to go, but in the end I've gone Team Raw. So,
all right, John DeConnie, last night on SmackDown, a couple members of Team SmackDown had individual matches. Baron Corbin was in a tag team match and lost. Seth Rollins had a match with Murphy and lost. Jey Uso had a match with Daniel Bryan and lost. See the pattern here?
Yes, I think they should. I think they should get used to that feeling, because I think Team Raw can't get a long gimmick. Just been to distract, I should say, from the fact that this team looks almost unbeatable. As much as I love Rollins and KO and all members of Team SmackDown, Team Raw is just, and I think the skipper, I think I gave my highest amount of confidence points to. There you go. And then you got the two monsters in Mongoose and Bro Lee. And Riddle, I think, will also be along for the ride. And Sheamus, I can always take or leave anytime he's on the screen. But I think Team Raw gets the job done here with an exclamation point.
Okay. John Smith, I got a funny feeling you're going to be in agreement as well.
Yeah, I definitely like Raw to win this one. I think Keith Lee is going to end up being the sole survivor. I got Kevin Owens getting down to 1-on-3 or 1-on-4 pretty quick, I think. And then I think he's going to pick off a couple guys, make a valiant effort, and then Keith Lee is going to get the rub when it's all said and done.
All right. Ryan, you want to pile on SmackDown here as well? Why not, right?
Yeah, I don't think SmackDown has a chance of winning this one. But unlike my friends here on the show, I'm putting fella Fireface at the top. And that's mainly because he appears to be heading into a program with Drew McIntyre. So I think this kind of sets him up for that. Otherwise, I like what everybody else said about, Keith Lee getting his moment. Riddle, I don't. Sorry, Gary, I don't see Riddle getting his push. Not that he doesn't deserve it, but I don't see it happening. And like you said, they forget it 2 weeks. So moving on. Yeah, Team Raw over Team SmackDown. Fireface on top.
All right. Like I said, I'm going to hop on as well. This whole thing, it seems to me, not that it's been about AJ Styles, but he just seems the one whose heart is in this the most. So I'm going to ride AJ to victory here. And I think along with Jordan Ermagerd, whatever his last name is, the big guy on the outside, I think now would be a good time for him to make a move, do some involvement here. You haven't seen him really throw a punch or even really have a sinister look on his face. We heard him speak for the first time last week. Apparently he does speak English. So I think it's time for AJ Styles and Jordan Ermagerd to get going, maybe start a feud. He can start a feud with Sheamus as well. I'll give Strowman the respect for what he's done the past 2 years. I'll give him the A spot. Keith Lee, I'm not going to disagree with anybody. He'll get sticks. I'm going to be Sheamus and Riddle down at the bottom. So all in agreement with Team Raw there to get the victory for the Men's Survivor Series team. Survivor Series actually has a nice little place in people's hearts. I know there are a couple wrestlers, 3 of them to be specific, who actually made their World Wrestling Federation debuts at the Survivor Series way back in 1996 at Madison Square Garden. This striking young gentleman by the name of Rocky Maivia debuted as a part of Team Mero against Team Helmsley. And actually, Rocky he was the sole survivor of that match. Triple H was Intercontinental Champion at the time after defeating Mark Mero. But Rocky Maivia, Fuzzy Top Rock, as what me and Kenny P used to call him back in the day. Jim Ross, that's a blue chipper. It's a future champion right there, folks. Yeah, I was right. In 1999, we were introduced to the Three Eyes for the first time. As Kurt Angle had a WWE, his debut match against Shawn Stasiak. Very historical for Shawn Stasiak as well. He wrestled his first match not named Meat. So that was great for Shawn. But Kurt Angle introduced us to the Three Eyes, and he got on the microphone during the match and told the crowd that they do not boo an Olympic gold medalist, which made them boo louder, and it's been magic ever since with Kurt Angle. And then, as we all know, 30 years ago, very, very talented, very special person joined the World Wrestling Federation. We all remember this moment. We all remember where we were when the gobbledygooker was hatched at Survivor Series 1990. A very happy birthday to the gobbledygooker. So he was hatched. So this is legit. He's turning 30. Like, oh my God, he's getting old. Gray hair's coming off that beak. But it also, ironically enough, just happens to be the 3-year anniversary of the Undertaker's debut, as Ryan mentioned, as a team, as a member of the $1 million team of Ted DiBiase's team. He was his mystery opponent. The Undertaker will be bidding his farewell to us fans of the World Wrestling Federation. A great graphic there by Ryan and minutestobelltime.com. I believe there's been rumors going around that a lot of his the BSK, I can't remember what the Bone Skull Clan or something like that, or whatever it was called, Savio Vega, the Godfather. Apparently they're all going to be in attendance to bid their farewell to the Undertaker. But we all know in WWE, things just aren't that simple. I'm unfortunately calling BS on this. We go around the horn. I forget which one to chime in. John Smith, I think it may have been you. Is this going to be a simple thank you and a speech, or are we getting a WrestleMania opponent here?
I mean, I'd like to see it go that way. I don't want to see him retire just yet. Just on a, it's like no build up, no nothing. It's no last match. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for him to not stick around for one more at least. I like the idea of Brock Lesnar being the one to come out and mess him up and then have one more fight at WrestleMania.
All right. Ryan Joy, is this a farewell or are you calling BS?
You know, whenever the WWE says final, it sure feels like an angle. It's a little weird, though, because they've done all these documentaries this month. They've had 30 Days of the Undertaker. They've done a press release. They've done things that they normally do when they mean legit business. But like you said, anything can happen in the WWF. So, yeah, I'm leaning towards angle.
All right, Tyler.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of the same reasoning. It's with the documentaries, and I get more nervous the night after WrestleMania if I see someone walk into the ring in a suit. That's when I get nervous if someone's about to actually retire.
Yes.
It's just, well, because Edge did it, but I'm pretty sure he did it on SmackDown.
Daniel Bryan.
But Mark Henry, and I'm pretty sure he got all of us.
Yeah, well, that's where we're at here, Tony. That's
got all of us with that one. But it's the Undertaker deserves to have his final ride off, no pun intended, to WrestleMania 36. He deserves to retire in front of an audience, not have to do this with LED boards. You know, obviously, under the circumstances, you know, what are you going to do? But I don't know if he would have been so willing to let his guard down, per se, with interviews and documentaries. I don't know if he'd be willing to do that if this wasn't actually it. So I'm kind of torn 50-50. where I don't want him to go tomorrow, but I think he's going to.
Okay, so Gary, Tyler just brought something, just sparked something up in my head. Yeah, they're opening up. We're peeling into Mark Calloway a lot, like they did when they peeled away the three faces of Foley, and we eventually got Mick, and Mick started wrestling as himself. So maybe the Undertaker is gone. Maybe Mark Calloway fights at WrestleMania.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting. It's like Tyler was saying, I kind of have this 50-50 of part of me would love it if he was completely gone and this was like, hey, it's the first inductee for next year's Hall of Fame. We're telling you 4 months out. Isn't that great? But there's just that wee seed in the back of my head that it is going to be like, do you know what? I'm going to go out one last time. I'm going to go out as me. I've been Undertaker. Thanks very much. Now the real Mark Calloway is here, and whether it's AJ again or whoever, that somebody will start something. So I genuinely do hope that, I was going to say, it sounds awful to say, I hope tomorrow that he retires for good. I don't mean it quite like that. He's been a big part of my wrestling life, but I do just have that 1% in the back of my head that's going, So we'll see.
That's kind of how I meant to say it.
What's that?
That's how I meant to say it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, look, the whole thing hits home for me because, in sports and wrestling and everything, I'm going to be 25 in March, and from the time I started watching wrestling, and then I go back as far as I can to watch, up until today, he's always been the one constant. He's always there. It's going to be weird as hell when he's gone.
John DeConnie, we've had many conversations. I know you actually quoted something. The Undertaker, like, don't worry about it. He's going to get that one last walk down the aisle. I firmly believe that. Do you?
Well, that was exactly my prepared discussion here, was that during the cinematic match with AJ, I said, if this is his send-off, seeing him go out as kind of the biker taker, not really the Undertaker. And you promised me, Al, I would get to hear the bell toll in an arena with a crowd one more time and see the Taker's entrance and get to see the crowd pop for him one last time and give him that love and send him off properly. And when they go out of their way to tell you this is it, once again, as some of my colleagues have already said, BS on that most often. So fingers crossed that this isn't the end and he gets a proper, if you will, send off with fans in attendance and all the love he properly deserves.
All right, so I think
I
Gary,
have a question for you really quickly.
Mine for me.
Yes.
All right.
Well, generally for everybody, but do you see, if this is not the last time we see him in a ring, and he does have a match at WrestleMania, whenever that may be, do you see him getting the Ric Flair treatment, like at WrestleMania 24, where he was inducted and then had his last match?
That's exactly the point I was going to get to, Ty, because Gary mentioned the Hall of Fame. We always want to say, you could actually, that would be perfect. Announce him into the Hall of Fame tomorrow night, our first inductee for the class of 2021. And then all of a sudden, the lights go out. Then they turn red. And then this guy shows up because the team never forgets. WrestleMania 31, The Undertaker dropped Bray Wyatt on his head. That's the answer right there.
Yeah, and that was another thing I wanted to mention too. Is I don't know how much of your his interviews you guys have been watching, but almost every interview he does, the Fiend comes up. It comes up in his interviews. He's the best thing they got going now. Undertaker Fiend would have been great. I'm telling
you right now, it's the Fiend. The Fiend is going to come out because he's the only one that can get in the middle. Because if Savio Vega and the Godfather and the rest of those guys are in there, he's going to be the only one that's going to be able to sneak and get through to the Undertaker to get that mandible claw on him. That we know is the Undertaker weakness. Mankind has put the Taker down with the mandible claw, so he's susceptible to that move. So that's my prediction. And like I said, I told you guys, I'm going to make it public now. I will be writing an article. I like to write a way too early WrestleMania card, and that's on my card right now. Undertaker versus The Fiend, because of what hopefully will happen in my head tomorrow night. If I was booking that crap, that's exactly what I'd do. But we do have one more Champions vs. Champions match. I'm not sure if this will be the main event or if we're going to give that honor to The Undertaker. I have a feeling if The Fiend jumps him, it might. But the world champion, the WWE World Champion against the WWE Universal Champion. Here's how these numbers break down. Raw is 2-0 in this contest. Both wins by Brock Lesnar. They did not have a triple threat last year because poor Adam Cole probably would have got killed by both Brock Lesnar and The Fiend. That would have been an awful triple threat match for Adam Cole to be a part of. So they actually had 3 championship matches instead. But the fun thing here with Raw being 2-0, SmackDown being 0-2, the titles have changed hands. So both times that Brock Lesnar won for Raw, he was Universal Champion, which is now on SmackDown. So the Universal Champion is 2-0 against the WWE Champion, who's 0-2. So something's got to give here. Something's going to get their first win and or their first loss. And here are the combatants. We have Randy. Wow, I really wish it was Randy. We have Drew McIntyre, who just recaptured the WWE Championship this past Monday on Raw by defeating Randy Orton against Roman Reigns, who sat at the head of the contract signing table last night. It doesn't matter which table we are sitting at. Roman Reigns has to be at the head of it. Last time these guys fought, is my recollection, was at WrestleMania 35 at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, where Roman Reigns came back. He won his fight against leukemia, came back, and he dropped Drew McIntyre in what was an amazing match. But we have to bring this into consideration because tomorrow is the 10-year anniversary that we met this little girl for the very first time. This is Angry Miz Girl. And this girl appeared after the Miz cashed in Money in the Bank, at the Amway Center 10 years ago tomorrow to win the WWE Championship from Randy Orton. So we do have to consider the Miz in this for historical reasons. And as I mentioned earlier, Sheamus cashed in 5 years ago, so it's not like this hasn't happened before. So, Gary Mehaffy, since this match kind of hits home to you, this is pretty close to you. You were close to one of the competitors in this match. We'll let you lead on this one.
I know it'll come as a shock to everybody who have picked, but I can't. I've only chosen against them once, and I was right. But no, I'm going with Drew. On this one, I was genuinely surprised, if I'm honest, that they had taken the belt off Randy, and I thought with the whole thing with the tie-in with Miz, as you were talking about, that would fit in well. But with them putting the belt on the Drew, and with Drew's line last night about, come on, like, underestimate me, dare you to underestimate me, I thought, okay, that he will go over and how much they've said, like Paul Heyman apparently didn't think he would win the belt and all this, that they'll put Drew over. They've been really putting a lot of steam behind him, and I think that they'll put Drew over. And it may be a case Miz may well try to cash in. I think if he does, he'll get Claymore kicked his head off. But and he'll be the new non-cash in inverted commas. But no, I think that Drew's gonna go over.
Yeah, that's a very small club. I do believe that club consists of Baron Corbin, John Cena, and Damian Sandow. Ryan, am I correct on that?
What did you say?
Failed cash-ins.
Yes, you're right. Yes.
Okay, then John Smith, you can go next. Then you announced me correct, so you can go next.
I'm going with Roman because he's pretty much Roman Cena now. Even though he's a heel, but he's not gonna lose for a long time, not clean at least. And I do like the idea of Miz coming out and cashing in, but I think it might get thwarted by somebody. Possibly Sheamus. But then Sheamus might turn on Drew after that to set up something between them. But I got Roman.
All right, Ryan Joy.
Let me tell you something. Drew McIntyre was hard enough to beat before he had a big mother effing sword. And now he's got a big sword. Drew McIntyre for this match. Although, for all the reasons, it's really hard to pick. I actually don't like picking it. I don't want to see either guy lose. But Drew McIntyre for this match because he's got a big mother effing sword.
All right, Tyler.
No contest.
Oh, here we go. Then talk us out through this. How is this going to happen?
Okay, I don't expect anybody to agree with me. I don't care if you agree with me or not. Just listen to me on this one, or at least listen to my insanity. Roman Reigns, since coming back from his COVID hiatus to be at home, has been on fire. I love bad guy Roman or heel Roman, whatever you want to call him. 5 years ago, I hated this guy. I wanted him gone. Drew McIntyre is having the year of his life, taking out Lesnar at Mania, winning the Rumble. It's just been his year. Both guys are way too hot for me to really see one of them being taken out. Double count out, double DQ. I don't know how it's going to end. I don't think there's going to be a definitive winner, but I do see a cash in.
Okay, so you're going to call a no contest with the cash in.
Yes.
And I guess if that's the case, then you got to do the Undertaker as the main event, right? I mean, you say you can't send the crowd home, or you can't have the crowd turn off their TVs and computer screens to that, right?
No, I don't know where you'd put this on there. I mean, unless you do this kind of like the second to last, throw in a match just to keep everybody watching, and then go Undertaker.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know how much. That's a lot of emotion to handle in one night. A double count out, then a cash in, and then the Undertaker probably leaving. I might have a heart attack.
Yeah.
I have a follow-up here.
All right, Ryan Joy.
So Tyler, you say there's a cash in. Is this just us girls talking, or are you checking the box on the site?
I checked the box.
Okay.
Al can confirm.
That's it. If you do the Money in the Bank cash in wager, first things first. If the Miz does it's just on the cash in. The Miz does not have to win the title to get the points here. If you are correct and does cash in, you gain 20 points. But if he doesn't cash in, you lose 10. That's the wager. Like I said, it's just the cash in, and it's the only part of the pool where you can lose points. John DeConnie, you're the last one we have to hear from on this.
Yeah, unfortunately, now I wasn't brave enough to say no contest because I know they try like hell not to do that. But so if there is a pinfall, I see it going to Roman. But I could very well see there being no contest. I just didn't have the testicular fortitude to click that button on the website. The one part I definitely agree with is because I believe that Vince McMahon personally hates me. I believe there will be a cash in. I believe that McIntyre will be left laying. There will be a cash in, and I will have to look at The Miz as WWE champion. And talk about puking.
I wouldn't have a problem with that. I'm way too far behind the risk points on a cash in. I would love to see it. This match is just, at least to me, this match is just so huge for Roman Reigns and what he's trying to do and what he's trying to become here. He's supposed to be unbeatable. He's supposed to be everything that he's saying he's going to be, and he needs this win. This is must win for Roman Reigns. He loses this, then this whole head of the table, this whole I'm better than I'm the greatest thing. It's gone. It's completely gone. McIntyre just suffered a loss and he already rebounded from it. McIntyre's pinnable now. He can get pinned and move on forward. There's no shame. Ask Jey Uso. There's no shame in losing to Roman Reigns. Actually, Jey Uso got better because he fought Roman Reigns and lost. So I can't see Roman Reigns. I can't even see no contest either. This just has to be Roman Reigns. This is absolutely. What's that?
I said, but
now I have a question.
Sword. Yes, John Connie.
Question now. Now I used I had guessed the cash in and I already took my hit on the points. I thought Otis was going to cash in, go for the tag titles a couple of shows ago, just to get to do away with that whole lawsuit and whatnot. And now I've already risked that. Am I allowed to do it again?
You can go as many times as you want. Yeah, those are your points.
Yeah, John. Okay. Lose them.
Yeah, keep going. You're playing.
Punch that ticket.
All right, so we tallied up the final scores, and this is what we came up with. Tyler changed his pick last second. He's got a tie apparently now because he had SmackDown according to what he gave me at 4-2. Tyler's got a tie at 3-3-1. So there you go. But we're pretty much we're all on the SmackDown boat, with the exception of Ryan Joy. He has Lana taking it home for Team Raw on the overall. So this is where we're going with that. Guys, any questions, comments, criticisms? Tyler, we'll start with you before we read our closing. We're starting a giveaway. We have an announcement. Our first ever guest picker. We got some stuff to discuss. But any last thing Survivor Series you want to throw out there, Ty?
No, I think it's going to be a great show. I think all the shows in the last all the pay-per-view shows rather in the last few months have gotten progressively better under the circumstance. I think they're figuring out what they're doing now. The Amway Center definitely helps. Soon to be Tropicana Field is definitely going to help them out too. They're definitely going to have a lot more to work with if they want to do those theatrical matches. But I would expect nothing less than a great show tomorrow.
All right, Ryan.
The big thing about this weekend for me at least is trace back through the period of time I've been watching wrestling. We went from the immortal Hulk Hogan. The only way we could top that was to introduce a dead man, and now we have to say goodbye to a dead man. What is the next 30 years? Because that's how you have to measure wrestling.
Yeah, and it just dawned on me now. I forgot to mention this earlier. But Survivor Series, speaking of those two specifically, Survivor Series 1991, The Undertaker, a year in, defeated the immortal Hulk Hogan to become WWF champion a year in. Not that many people have won a WWF championship quicker than that. I think Kurt Angle was like 10 months. Ric Flair technically did it the quickest, but it's not like, Ric Flair was already established, and that's not really a fair comparison.
And then you put into account of who he took out to win too. That's big.
Yeah. So, John Smith.
To be fair, Ric Flair did slide a steel chair underneath Hogan's head on that tombstone, but to me, I'm just tired of The Undertaker. I've always been tired of The Undertaker. I never liked The Undertaker, so I'm ready for him to go, which means he's going to be sticking around. That's what the Survivor Series means to me. They always make it about The Undertaker, and it was always like, why? And he was never the number one guy in my opinion, and in any era that he wrestled in. But he's always been the constant, like you guys say. So it's nice to give him a send off, but I just don't think it's happening.
All right, Gary.
Just thinking, maybe Hulk Hogan will be the surprise WrestleMania match.
Gotta get his win back.
Oh, I've just taken a massive big cramp in my leg, gents. I'm going to have to apologize.
We'll get back to you then. Hold on. You just...
I'll be back in 2 seconds. Cheaper. Ow. That's what I get. I've just taken a massive cramp in my leg. No. That's the one way to go live. If I'm going to die live on air, die via cramp in my left leg. No, I do. I can see that Survivor Series is always where they set up something massive for Mania, and I do think that something will come out of this tomorrow that we'll be remembering for the next few months.
Yeah, and John the Connie, is that Lana? Is this going to be the year of? It's COVID-19. Everything is messed up. Lana Soul Survivor. Is that what we're going to remember from this?
Remember my prediction from a couple months ago that if Lana had taken the title from Asuka, Eva Marie in the Royal Rumble, Lana and Eva Marie at Mania.
There you go. That's it. Okay, so real quick, gentlemen, make sure you tune in on Fridays to the Prime Time Rundown powered by StreamYard. Join Joey Jarzanka, Ian Schreier, and Rob DeLuca. Airs at 6 p.m. on Friday nights on the Eastern Observer Facebook page, on the I-95 Sports Network on YouTube, as well as Zingo Channel 198. Everywhere you can watch us, you can watch the Primetime Rundown. They are taking the week off this week because of Thanksgiving, but they will be back on air December 4th. Ryan Joy, the Body Slam Brigade newsletter. You tackled a lot of stuff this week.
Yeah. Of course, I think the lead story in any wrestling newsletter this week has to be Zelina Vega and WWE and unions and independent contractors and things like that. So I tackled that pretty heavily in the newsletter. Check it out. It's for free. You can get it at minspelltime.com or just to make things easy, bodyslambrigade.com.
There you go. And like I said, Ryan, tomorrow's the big day at Survivor Series, but Monday is the big day for you. 10 a.m. Get your morning cup of joy.
Yeah, a daily wrestling news show starts on Monday. It'll be Monday through Thursday every week except next week because it's Thanksgiving. But I think we're ready right now to make our big announcement about who my guest host will be on day one.
All right, ready? Drum roll? Do we do a drum roll here?
Anybody have a drum roll? There we go. Special guest host on day one is the purveyor of ProWrestlingPick'em.com, the host of the Essential Wrestling Podcast, your friend and mine, Mr. Al Karl.
Boo.
That's not a way to get viewers. There you go. I have my own graphic and everything. Yes, I will be joining you 10 a.m. on Monday morning. I am excited. The funny thing was, if you guys want to get a good laugh, I did this the other day thinking about what you're going to be going through. I went back and watched the beginning of the Essential Wrestling Podcast, episode 1, and Tyler, it is absolutely hysterical. We were laughing then of what we were, this is going to be the thing that we remember. We were behind the 8 ball. We fought through it, and we've gotten to where we are right now, and it's been great. And Ryan, I'm excited to join you on Monday and whatever you need me for. And best of luck. We're looking forward to watching you.
Folks, tune in. We're going to kill it.
All right. Tyler, I do believe music runs in your family.
Music does run in my family. My godfather has released his second album, Free Cake by the Black Cats NYC. You can download that anywhere on Spotify, Apple Music. I believe Amazon Music has it. There's so many other platforms you can get it on. Check it out.
All right. We are excited for Free Cake. Who doesn't love free cake? Join us back here not next week. Listen to me. This is force of habit right there. Join us as we get back to our regularly scheduled time slot at the Essential Wrestling the Essential Wrestling Podcast, Tuesdays at 6 o'clock. That is our normal home time. We'll be back Tuesday to discuss everything that happened at the Survivor Series. And I guess we're going to talk turkey, right? The week going into Thanksgiving. Please make sure that you can tune in to us on the Pro Wrestling Pick'em homepage, the Minutes to Bell Time Facebook page, the Eastern Observer Facebook page, the I-95 Sports Network on YouTube, and of course on Zingo TV, channel 198 for all of you Zingo heads out there. And we actually have a special guest coming up, just announced last night on the Primetime Rundown. Amber Nova, along with Tony Capone, who was the owner of the North American Wrestling Alliance. They have resurrected this brand of wrestling, and they're here to promote their new show that's going to be relaunching NAWA down in Florida. It is called the Jingle Brawl. That pay-per-view will be on Fight TV on December 21st at 8 p.m., and Mr. Capone and Amber Nova will be here on December 8th on the Essential Wrestling Podcast to help us make our picks for Impact Wrestling's final resolution. So Amber, she spent a little bit of time in Impact, and you can catch her on the WWE Network as she had a couple of matches in NXT as well. A tag team match with Kairi Sane and Io Shirai. So she's danced with some great superstars, some great wrestlers. She is Tony Capone's young and up-and-coming bright star for the North American Wrestling Alliance. So we are excited to have that. Excited to have both of them as our first ever guests on the Essential Wrestling Podcast. And now we have a huge announcement. We actually are starting our very first giveaway. We are having a contest to give away a picture. It's an 8x11 signed photo of WWE Hall of Famer Jim the Anvil Neidhart. In order to enter this contest, you must go to the I-95 Sports Network YouTube page, or there should be a link to YouTube from our show. Subscribe to the I-95 Sports Network. Throw Stone Cold Stunner on that notifications bell so you can stay informed with all of the shows that are happening on the I-95 Sports Network. And make sure you leave a comment on this show with the hashtag EWPAnvil in order to enter this contest. So subscribe, hit the notification bell, comment EWP Anvil in the comment section, and that will enter you in the contest for an autographed picture of WWE Hall of Famer Jim the Anvil Neidhart. We're looking to get our YouTube subscriber count up. So it's pretty low right now, so we're going to set the bar low. Once we hit 200 subscribers on the I-95 Sports Network, we will be giving that picture away and then starting another one thereafter. So there's a lot of great things coming here on the Essential Wrestling Podcast, as well as the I-95 Sports Networks. We got giveaways now. We got wrestlers coming on the show. Tyler's back. He's as beautiful as ever. Gary's legs are falling off. Everything is just, this has just been absolutely great. This has been so much fun. I'm excited for Survivor Series. I know you guys are excited for Survivor Series. I love this time of year. As you can see by all the statistics and stuff that we have brought to you today. Thank you very much for joining us today. For our sheriff, welcome back to our sheriff, Tyler Adele, to Ryan Joy from minutestobelltime.com, to our NXT senior correspondent, John Smith, to our Impact senior correspondent, John DeConi, Gary Mehaffy, our senior NXT UK correspondent. Thank you for staying up late with us, as always, overseas in Northern Ireland. We really do appreciate you for doing that. Alexa Bliss, we love you. We hope you ruin The Undertaker's night tomorrow night. That's going to be a lot of fun if you get involved in it as well. Tegan Knox, get well soon. We love you. I can't believe I picked Lars Sullivan.
Pink emoji.
John DeConi, take us home, buddy.
Yes, indeed. Thanks for joining us. And as always, we wish you future endeavors. Enjoy Survivor Series.